Alright, I know what you're thinking. The Last Unicorn? Isn't that an American movie, you uncultured troglodyte? Okay, first off, mean. Secondly, you're kind of right on that end. While The Last Unicorn is based off an American book and was distributed primarily through American production and theater companies, the film itself was animated by Japanese studio Topcraft, has a Japanese dub, and its rights were split between the producers Rankin Bass and the animators Topcraft before it went bankrupt. And we'll get to that soon. And third, even if that's not enough to really qualify as a legit anime movie to look at, it's my review series, so any haters can suck it. Based on the Peter S. Beagle novel, the film focuses on a unicorn who is said to be the last of her kind, but she catches wind that more of her kin are being held captive by an evil Red Bull, insert whatever energy drink joke you have here, and she goes to save them, only to be captured by a witch who wants to display her in a carnival. But with the help of a magician named Smendrick, she escapes and goes to search for her kind. Will she be able to save her fellow unicorns and live happily ever after? Can you say 80s kids film? And yes, first and foremost, this is a movie meant for kids. There's no question about that. It's targeted toward young children and is meant to reflect on the themes of love, regret, nature, and all that stuff. But that far from handicaps the movie. On the contrary, it's still a really good kids film. The story is solid, the animation is well done, and it has natural pacing to where kids won't get bored or be overstimulated by it. So, is it perfect? Well, you know the drill by now. First, let me talk about how it's directed and presented. It's an 80s medieval fantasy, where the elements of the fantastical are both whimsical and subdued, while the writing has a bit of both of them to it, as well as an edge of taking the material as serious as possible with a hint of cynicism, like The Princess Bride, The Never-Ending Story, and The Secret of NIMH. And among many other fantasies of the time, it's probably one of the more well put together. It uses its animation and music especially to its advantage, really selling its world and embracing the setup. The world itself isn't too far-fetched for what it's trying to tell. It's a simple search and rescue tale, and when it's done in this setting, in these circumstances, it makes the immersion easier to get into. Personally, I didn't expect a lot from the film my first viewing, and I was pleasantly surprised. The main theme song is really enchanting and gets you into the flick's mood very well, and despite it being a kids film, there's a ton of scary imagery in it. Like, Jesus, the Hellboy is one of the best parts of the movie solely because of its animation. And that's good. I think it's important to scare kids to let the moments of peace and tranquility be all the more satisfying. The characters are relatively okay, except for one. Smendrick is the best part of the movie by far. Who knew a realist, nonsensical, sarcastic Jewish wizard would work in a story about finding a lost herd of unicorns? Well, whoever did, I want to know what they were smoking. Played by Alan Arkin, Smendrick is such an antithesis in the movie that he actively works against the film's moods and motifs, but still functionally produces a great support role. Nothing is safe from this guy's magic touch of not giving a flying fuck that he's easily the funniest part of the entire journey.
Give it to me if you don't want it, but don't throw it away!
But you're dead! You can't smell wine, can't taste it!
This is King Haggard's throne room.
Throne room? This is a cell. This is a tomb. Take us to King Haggard. This is a super spell. The bars are now as brittle as old cheese, which I crumble and scatter so. Oh, I must have gotten the accent wrong.
He's the bridge between the kids in the audience and their parents watching, at least making it more entertaining on the latter's front. But you could argue that he's a distraction to the plot as a funny sidekick rather than a developed person. His kind of character works in The Princess Bride because that's how the world is set up, being very cynical in an otherwise whimsical world. But here, it's mostly a no-nonsense fantasy story, and the nonsense that does appear is Smendrick. Don't get me wrong, I love this guy. He's hilarious, but he's also very much a product of the times, which personally I love that product, but I'm sure others don't quite. In terms of the anime aspects of the film, the animation and the cinematography is quite beautiful and kind of ugly, in a charming way. The landscapes and the montaging are very well put together. You can just look at the backgrounds to instantly get into it. And then you look at some of the characters and instantly know it's a Rankin Bass production. Not to say they're bad, but they're very much an acquired taste, like I previously mentioned with Smendrick. But aside from hit and miss characters and the rare odd storyboarding, The Last Unicorn is just good, regardless if you see it as a kids movie, an 80s flick, or an arguable anime film. And to be honest, I think it's one everyone should watch. It doesn't have profound messages hidden in it or exceptional animation that deserves awards. It's just a really good movie, drenched in the American 80s attitudes, humor, and fantasy storytelling. I don't think it's perfect, but it's nice and enjoyable, and sometimes that's all you need. Of course, it is also a Japanese production, but we'll talk about the studio in more depth soon. For now though, seek it for yourself and see what's missing in your life.